And the question, which goes to, let's see, Andrew first, is what does the country need to do to move healthcare reform forward? Try to wrap that up in 2 minutes. Here's a challenge for you.
We should lower the age of Medicare eligibility to 0.
Okay. Anything else? You have about 20 seconds. Go ahead.
Now.
Okay, you get the reward for succinctness. There'll be some follow-up questions. Go ahead, Jared.
As many of you know, personally, I'm a co-sponsor of House Bill 176. I agree with the universal single-payer model. Michael's position is different on this, and I want to explain why, because when somebody doesn't agree with you entirely, you got to say why, what are your reasons, and again, President Obama, and I supported President Obama when he ran, and many of you did, and you knew that he wasn't for single-payer at the time. He ran on a very important principle in healthcare reform. One of that principle was, if you like what you have, you keep it. And this has been a hard enough project to sell with the American people, even with that. President Michael Bennet has been a strong and steadfast supporter of the public option in healthcare reform, and he will continue to through the reconciliation process if that's where it goes. And it's critical, again, that President Obama took this off the table. Now, there's people in the House of Representatives, one of my dear friends and colleagues, Dennis Kucinich, he voted against this healthcare bill, because it wasn't single payer. And you know, you can be pure and you can do that, but you know, at the end of the day, we don't have the majority yet to pass universal single payer. President Obama did not run on that agenda because he said, if you like what you have, you keep it. And we're going to do our darndest, like we did in the House. Michael Bennet will continue this fight in the Senate to pass a comprehensive health care reform bill with a public option. And that will be a huge step forward to help cover 40 million people in this country, bring down health care costs, and give people a public option that one day might lead to a system like Medicare that can cover everybody.
Okay, 2 quick questions. Lady in the olive.
I want to say that Senator Obama supported single payer. President Obama did not. And I think that it's an important distinction to say that we can't have it all versus I won't allow you to have Medicare if you want it.
Okay,
I think
and the question is?
Oh, sorry. So if the option is if you like what you have, you keep it, what's your option if you don't like what you have and you like Medicare?
Option, there's different versions of it, but it looks a lot like being able to buy into a Medicare-type product. It's not going to be, under one option, it would be a Medicare-type product. That's kind of the strong option that we originally fought for. It wasn't in the final House version. Senator Bennet supports the public option. It will be a government option. It may or may not be called Medicare. It may be called something different, but effectively it would allow people to buy into that as an alternative to continuing to give money to the insurance company that they're not satisfied with and they don't like. And that's why, rightfully so, it played such an important role in this entire healthcare debate. If we have a mandate that requires people to have healthcare insurance, it's only fair to make sure that they have an alternative than going to the very same insurance companies that have been fleecing them all these years.
Okay, just go ahead quickly.
I want to retrieve some of the time I sacrificed earlier. I respect and support the President of the United States. He represents one branch of government, and we need, I think, Congress to push, if necessary, for the plan that we want. Not just the plan that we'll settle for at the 50-yard line when we begin a debate. That's no way to actually conduct a negotiation. You don't split the difference before the conversation even starts. That's the first point. Second, second thing is this. We saw plenty of senators stand up and demand things to benefit their states. We saw the fellow from Nebraska, Ben Nelson, do that and let his state off the hook for Medicaid. We saw another senator negotiate what somebody called the Louisiana Purchase. We should have seen a single senator stand up when it counted, before the die was cast and the deal was cut and the vote was taken. A member of the majority party could have stood up and said, no. If you want my vote, you're going to need to put the public option back in. You're going to need to take the pork out, and you're going to need And you're going to need to remove the antitrust exemption for the insurance industry. That didn't happen, in part because that industry, like the drug companies, have subsidized so many members of both sides of the aisle. I know it is easy for us to blame the Republicans, but by my count, they're still in the minority. And if 41 folks in the U.S. Senate want to block progress on one of the most important issues we've ever faced, if they want to threaten a filibuster, call their bluff. Make them start talking.
All right, and the last question. The mic to the lady in red right over here. Yes.
To what possibly could be a buzzsaw.
Go ahead, it's on. Go ahead.
Thank you for stepping into what could be a buzzsaw for you as a representative of Michael Bennett. My question is, will we and when will we ever see a debate between Michael Bennett and Andrew Romanoff?
Polis and Senator Bennett, because that would be...
During my campaign, I had a three-way primary a couple years ago, and I had an event that I asked Ken Gordon to be a surrogate for me on. And, we can't be at all events, and Senator Bennett would love to. It's impossible. There's always a couple of things. But Ken Gordon, I think it was the Arvada Chamber of Commerce, if I'm not mistaken. And I represent part of Arvada, but no, and he was kind enough to do it. And I owe him an even bigger debt of gratitude than I realized, because this is hard. So thank you, Ken. I appreciate you doing that for me.
Okay.
Even more than I thanked you at the time.
All right, it's time for the closing statement.